For Gennady Golovkin, I guess fighting with one last roll of the dice to become undisputed champion. But for Canelo Alvarez, coming off the defeat as well. A lot of pressure and a lot of feeling around this week that Gennady Golovkin might have a lot more chance than people are giving him credit for in this fight. I think we're going to see an unbelievable fight on Saturday.
All right, can I put you on the spot here? Who has more pressure in your eyes?
Honestly, probably Canelo, because although Gennady might feel like this is maybe the last roll of the dice, certainly to become undisputed, for Canelo Alvarez, back-to-back defeats would be crippling for his career. You know, this is a pound-for-pound great fighter, the #1 pound-for-pound fighter who's slipped off that ranking through a defeat to someone outside of his weight division, wants to come back and make a statement. Mexican Independence Weekend, a huge crowd at the T-Mobile, the whole world watching. And this is just one of the great rivalries of boxing. I just feel like neither guy are going to take a step backwards on Saturday. I think you're going to see the best of the three fights so far.
The third chapter wasn't as savage as the first two. And perhaps Triple G was no longer the guy he once was. But Canelo could only do his job. And that he did.
He is definitely the better fighter out of the two we can see.
He put in a dominating performance to take a points decision that should have been far wider than the cards had.
After 12 hard-fought rounds here at the T-Mobile Arena, we go to the judges' score totals. For your winner by unanimous decision, and still the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, Saul Canelo Alvarez.
Undisputed super middleweight champion may have got back into the win column here. It became readily apparent that something was wrong with Saul. Boxing is already a painful sport, which can be made much more painful when a boxer is fighting in pain. A few hours after the Triple G rematch, Canelo Alvarez went public about a pre-existing injury to his left wrist, an injury that required surgery and up to 12 weeks of rehab. Canelo Alvarez is adamant that with a working lead hand, he can get the victory over Dimitri Bivol. Naturally, he'll need a softer touch for now. So while his next opponent will be considered a cakewalk to some, make no mistake, John the Gorilla Ryder can fight.
Certainly Nielsen. Oh, what a punch.
John Ryder believes that destiny is what has brought him to his undisputed super middleweight title clash with Canelo Alvarez this year. In his last fight, the London native defeated Zach Parker in his hometown at the O2 Arena back in November of last year. Despite being a considerable underdog, Ryder won the early rounds, and eventually his fellow Brit was forced to quit after the fourth round due to an injury.
Well, there's a problem here. I think the corner had pulled out Zach Parker.
But despite the frustrating finish, he has now set himself up for a massive title opportunity against one of the sport's current pound-for-pound greats. Ryder's been pursuing the fight with Alvarez for years, becoming fixated on the idea since the time he lost a tight, controversial decision to Callum Smith in 2019. And after beating Daniel Jacobs last year, the wheels were set in motion for a possible stadium fight with the undisputed champion.
That's what dreams are made of, you know what I mean? You want to fight a champion and you want to fight him in his backyard. I've earned this shot now and I deserve it, so I'm going to take it with both hands.
Of course, Canelo will be favored to defeat Ryder. Heck, Canelo would be favored to beat anyone at 168 and below. Eddie Reynoso, Canelo's longtime trainer, welcomes the John Ryder matchup, calling it an intriguing one, due to the fact that Ryder has enjoyed such a rich vein of form lately. Perhaps, after all, then undefeated Bilal Akawai was a key sparring partner for Canelo in his long-awaited rematch with Gennady Golovkin back in 2018. Yet only a year later, Ryder, once again entering the fight as a sizable underdog, shocked boxing fans with a sensational third-round TKO win.
Ryder again has a Cowie going backwards here. 1, 2, 3, and he's backed up against the ropes. Ryder looking for the biggest win of his career. A Cowie down again. And that's it. The referee has stopped it, and John Ryder gets the biggest win of his life.
Of course, Akawai is no Canelo Alvarez. There's no doubt about the level Canelo is at. When it's all said and done, he'll go down as one of Mexico's finest ever. Heck, at the end of last year, a statue of Alvarez was erected in Guanacatlán, Mexico, and presented to the public during an unveiling ceremony for the accomplishments he's achieved in boxing. You have to be something special to still be in the thick of a Hall of Fame-bound career and it not stopping his country from honoring him with lifelong, legacy-defining adulation. And for good reason, too. Alvarez has won world championships at 154, 160, 168, and 175 pounds. And the generational superstar has beaten the likes of Gennady Golovkin twice, Arislandi Lara, Sergey Kovalev, and Puerto Rican legend Miguel Cotto.
Canelo looking for the finish, and this one is over. And the undisputed super middleweight champion of the world, Saul Canelo Alvarez.
Looking back at where Canelo first started, it's truly remarkable the destination he's arrived at. Canelo Alvarez had an idyllic childhood in most ways. The boxing superstar grew up in a tight-knit family of 10 on a modest ranch in San Agustin on the outskirts of Guadalajara, Mexico. The boy enjoyed the animals on the ranch, especially the horses. He rides to this day, and he has fond memories of working with his father, beginning at the age of 5, at the local palateria, which produced and sold frozen treats. Sounds like a tranquil existence, doesn't it? Well, there was more to Alvarez at a young age. He was a fighter. The other kids in the area made sure of that by taunting him because of his red hair. Those experiences as a child, the work ethic he learned at such a young age, the willingness to stand up for himself, set the foundation for a boxing career that continues to sparkle. Saul Canelo Alvarez is one of the best fighters of his generation. If he wasn't, the John Ryder fight wouldn't be seen as a mere formality. Ryder is at the best moment of his career, brimming with confidence, on a 4-fight win streak that should probably be an 11-bout one.
John Ryder has produced the biggest victory of his career with a devastating finish.
And yet, it'll be hard to find many picking the Englishman for the upset. Rather, fans will tune in for this fight for one simple reason: to see an all-time great in action.
We're talking about Canelo as one of the best fighters of all time, and that's because of resume. Whenever we talk about great fighters, we talk about what they did, and Canelo is beating everybody.
Saul is at the stage now where every fight he's in is a must-see event. He's been at that stage for nearly a decade, but as he enters the final stages of his career, all eyes turn towards how he'll fare in a B-Ball rematch in September 2023. And while defeating the Gorilla doesn't correlate to defeating Dimitri, depending on how he looks after his wrist surgery in May, we'll get a better gist if Canelo truly met his match last year up at 175, or if he simply had a bad night in the office.